couple things that you should pay attention to in particular. One of them is hey fellow runners, welcome back to the Runderlaster. I'm Elisa, your mindful running coach. So as many of you probably know from my first video of this series, Running and Pregnancy, I'm currently pregnant. Right now I'm ending already my second trimester. Crazy how time flew. I wanted to share a bit with you how my first 3 months of running and pregnancy went. I've learned a lot of things. I also could see what worked and not for me. Little disclaimer, this video isn't intended, of course, to substitute a doctor's advice. This is just my personal experience, but I hope with it to help you, maybe motivate you, making it smoother for you. Oh, and a second disclaimer, very important. I'm talking, hopefully addressing to women who are already used to running often, consistently. So if you aren't, this video isn't for you, surely, and I really don't recommend you starting running from scratch during your pregnancy. It's not the best time. Instead, try walking, for example, or other sports you're used to that are pregnancy friendly. So in the next few minutes, I'm gonna share with you the key points, which are, my opinion, the most relevant ones when it comes to running during your first trimester. So lace up and get ready for it. So first off, let's talk pace, because I quickly realized that my usual pace wasn't just going to stick around, and honestly that was completely alright. At the start of the pregnancy it still felt pretty normal, but as the first trimester progressed I noticed pretty fast how I couldn't just keep up with my usual paces, and that's completely normal again, because pregnancy is not the time where to chase PBs or go for your peak performance. Pregnancy is rather about tuning in with your sensations, adapting to them, and, enjoying the journey in a more slow and steady way, which has its own charm as well, right? And now we naturally come to the next point, expectations. So my advice in here is to really try to set your expectations lower than usual and get used to doing things in a more meditative and slow way, and to just put your stubbornness aside. And I'm telling you, as a very stubborn person, this isn't really the right time to have high expectations. So remember, the point of running during your pregnancy is to feel good, to do it for your own and your baby's also well-being, not to push and perform. Relatable to pace, I also had to let go of my need to do intense workouts, because doing high-intensity training, especially during your first trimester, can actually be quite risky. So you know that famous zone 2? The goal is to stay within this one, at least for the majority of your training, because during pregnancy your body is already under a lot of changes, and in another way it's performing, it's creating a life. So there's no need to add more pressure to all these processes, and pushing yourself too hard with intervals and sprints isn't actually the best idea. Your body is actually starting to pump double of your usual blood volume. This is already a convincing fact, so you'll notice that it's just enough to keep training, being active at a slow, moderate pace. Your body and your baby will thank you for that. So now let's talk duration and mileage, because already at the start of my first trimester I realized that I couldn't keep up with the usual distances and weekly mileage that I used to do before getting pregnant. So in here it's all about your common sense and perception, but you'll notice for sure that it's not manageable to keep up with the same duration and mileage indeed. When you embrace and celebrate what you're able to do, instead of, thinking I could have done more, I was used to doing more before, when you shift your mindset, it's gonna really pay off. And I personally found it even refreshing to not have that pressure, but rather enjoy enjoy slow, meditative runs, letting running become more about sensations and appreciation for the small wins rather than something about numbers and stats. It's okay to just go for a couple kilometers or miles, and on other days to feel up for a little bit more. Just keep it flexible. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. It's just about feeling good with what you're doing and putting no pressure on yourself. And now let's talk fueling, because if it's already important to keep your energy levels up when you're not pregnant, it is even more when you're growing another human being inside you. So for me, I just started noticing naturally that I needed more energies, also before, during and after my runs, so full package. It's not a first trimester thing, it's still ongoing. So make sure you're fueling and hydrating enough already during your whole day. But when it comes to exercising, be extra careful to fuel yourself well with a snack, something easily digestible, and to always have something with you, both to eat and to drink. So may it be your usual running snacks like energy gels, quick energy sources, bring them with you. The rule of thumb is always better to have than to not have them with you. And always make sure in advance that your energy gels do not contain certain substances that are not compatible with your pregnancy. For example, caffeine is not recommended during pregnancy, and a lot of energy gels contain it, so be careful about it and choose energy gels that are pregnancy friendly. And of course, don't forget hydration either. The key is really finding a fueling and hydration routine that makes you feel energized and doesn't cause you to have sudden energy dips while you're working out. And when it comes to running in particular, you know you have to plan it in advance. So try to be prepared, maybe having a running vest, something where you can easily store your snacks, and your hydration pack or bottle of water can be the game changer in here. Now about clothing, another very important point which I could realize almost immediately because my belly started to grow pretty fast, or yeah, I simply had a lot of swelling and water retention, but I felt already from the first weeks of my pregnancy that I wasn't comfortable anymore with my usual tights. So don't hesitate to switch up your running clothing, especially your pants, but as well your bra, for example, because your breasts are also gonna be growing, and go for a more comfortable, looser solution. Always supportive, but comfortable. That's the key, because you don't wanna hold up your breath while running or exercising. So don't squeeze yourself into tight clothing, but try to size up or consider some maternity sports clothing, and always wear breathable, moisture-wicking materials because you want to avoid overheating. By the way, we're gonna talk about this one in a second. My advice is to really be fast in changing and adapting your workout clothing. You don't want to have in your wardrobe things that feel uncomfortable, so put them aside. Maybe you can dedicate a box specifically for your pre-pregnancy workout apparel and take it for later when you're just gonna feel comfortable with that again. Another thing in your running apparel that might feel a bit different, your running shoes. So as you naturally gain a little bit of weight during your pregnancy, it's fully normal to start to feel uncomfortable with your usual running shoes. So look for some models providing more cushioning, more shock absorption to feel more comfortable and supported during your runs. Safety. This is another very important point, because if we should always try to stay safe during our runs, when it comes to pregnancy, the level of attention has of course to increase and to be more specific to that situation, because there are a couple things that you should pay attention to in particular. One of them is, as I previously mentioned when talking about your clothing, overheating. I don't want to go now into too technical and scientific details. I'm also not a doctor, but overheating is a risk for your pregnancy. You should avoid to sweat excessively. Basically, your fetus is not able to thermoregulate, I think that's the word, independently. So dressing up in a smart way that doesn't make you sweat excessively is really key in here. And as well, staying well hydrated. Another risk you should pay attention to in particular is the risk of falling, which we should absolutely avoid for the safety of your baby. So when it comes to running, try to avoid running on trails or on risky paths where you could easily slip. The best option here is, of course, road running, especially when the terrain is dry. Pay attention to these and try to run on safe surfaces where you don't have a risk of falling. And of course, all the safety points that were already important before your pregnancy. I made a video specific on this topic, runner safety, so check it out. And last but not least, let's talk about self-awareness, which I think it's really key when it comes to running during your pregnancy. If something doesn't feel right, don't ignore it. Stop and try to find an alternative or a solution, but you should always be very attentive to your body signals. Explore and adapt, because your body is your best guide. So always be mindful and stay in tune with your body, with your sensations, with your needs. They rarely lie. You're fully in charge of this beautiful and magical journey. It's up to you to decide how to manage it, to write your pregnancy story in your own way. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned because I'll be doing other videos for my second and my third trimester, how my workout went for those phases. So make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date. Thanks for watching and supporting, and I'll see you in the next video.